Hi, and welcome to this episode of John's Motorcycle Rescue and Review. I just got back from the September breakfast ride in Ephrata, Pennsylvania. Even though we had a little bit of patchy drizzle in the earlier part of the morning, for the most part the weather really cooperated and it turned out to be a beautiful day. There were so many cool motorcycles at the show, and if you have not been able to attend one of these, they are well worth attending. I was really encouraged to meet some younger riders who are into the classic motorcycle scene. It was great to get to talk to them, as well as the owners of the other classic bikes at the show. In this video, I'll go through some of my classic bike highlights. We'll go through brand by brand, and I'll talk a little bit about each of the bikes that I feature. Without further ado, let's take a look at some of my motorcycle highlights from the show. If you like great motorcycle related content and you want to help support this channel, you might want to consider becoming a member. Depending on the level of membership, members get additional bonus features such as early access to new videos and bonus content on this channel. And your support will help me continue to make good quality motorcycle content for you to enjoy. The first brand we'll look at is Yamaha, and one of the prettiest bikes at the show was this little 250cc two-stroke Yamaha. This one was in immaculate condition. Yamaha really built their reputation with small displacement, high performance two-stroke machines in the 1960s and 1970s. This example features a 250cc air-cooled two-stroke engine. It's a twin-cylinder design, and this beautiful machine only has 2,000 original miles on the odometer. I have recently reviewed a similar motorcycle, and that is Yamaha's 1969 R3, which is a 350cc two-stroke Yamaha. If you want to see what one of these older two-strokes is like to ride, you definitely want to check out that review. Just as a teaser for the review video, here's a quick clip from the R3 review. Moving on to the Hondas at the show, there was an absolutely gorgeous 1995 VFR750. These bikes featured a V4 engine, which gives them a very unique sound. To me, they're one of the best sounding engines in all of motorcycledom, and they sound absolutely fantastic with a freer flowing exhaust on them. Other cool features on the VFR are the aluminum beam type frame and the single-sided swing arm. These were really trick pieces in the mid-90s. I previously owned a red VFR just like this one, and my only problem with it was I could not ride that bike slowly. It sounded so good with the aftermarket exhaust on it, and I was always in the throttle just to hear that engine sound. The next Honda we'll look at is the VFR800. The VFR800 was the fifth generation of the VFR. It is considered by many to be the pinnacle of VFR evolution. With the VFR800, Honda bumped up the displacement of the 750 a little bit. This bike still features the gear-driven cams, and they also went to fuel injection on the 800cc model. I have recently reviewed a friend's VFR800 on this channel. If you'd like to learn more about the 5th generation VFR and see what it's like to ride, you can click the link above to view that video. Here's just a little teaser from that video for you to enjoy. The next Honda that really stood out to me at the show was this one-year-only 1983 CB1000 Custom. The CB1000 Custom was based on the preceding CB900 Custom. Besides the larger displacement of the CB1000 Custom, Honda added a fork brace. They also gave the CB1000 Custom Honda's version of anti-dive, and that was called track. One of the more unique features of the CB1000 Custom is its dual range 5-speed transmission. The crazy thing is, I've only ever seen one other CB1000 Custom in person, and that was the day previous when I visited a friend. The black bike in the pictures is my friend's bike. Next up, there were two absolutely gorgeous 1989 Honda CBR600 F1s at the show. These models were still called the Hurricane, although that name was dropped shortly afterwards. I remember thinking that these bikes were so cool when they came out, and at the time they offered absolutely blistering performance from a mid-sized machine. In fact, the first sport bike that I ever rode was a CBR600 F2, which was the generation after these. Another fantastic mid-80s super sport machine was this beautiful GPZ 600R Ninja. I'm a huge fan of the red, white, and blue paint scheme. I was able to talk to Drew, the owner of this bike. It's actually his first motorcycle, and he went headfirst and bought a non-running mid-80s sport bike for his first motorcycle. I love the fact that he has put the time into getting this bike back on the road and making it right, and it was so cool to get to see it at the show. Moving on, there was this beautiful customized 2002 Kawasaki Concours 1000. It was a pleasure to get to meet the owner, Chris, and talk to him for a little while. Although this Concours appears mostly stock at first glance, there are so many cool touches from front to back that have been done, and it was great to get to see it at the show. I have recently rescued a Kawasaki Concours 1000 and then reviewed it on this channel. You can click the link above to see that video. Here's a sneak peek at the review video. The next cool old Kawasaki at the show was this fully decked out Kawasaki Voyager 12. The Voyager 12 was a simplified touring machine from Kawasaki that effectively replaced the Kawasaki Voyager 13 six-cylinder motorcycle. The Voyager 12 featured a liquid-cooled four-cylinder engine, and though it had less displacement and less cylinders, it outperformed the machine that it replaced. The Voyager 12 was produced between 1986 and 2003, so it had a very long production run. There were two of the Voyager 12s at the show, and it was so cool to see both of these bikes in very well-preserved condition. The second bike is far less customized than the first bike. Moving on, there was a beautiful 1978 KZ1000 A model. This one was finished very similarly to my recent KZ1000 project with the green and gold paint. If you'd like to see what a 1978 KZ1000 sounds like and rides like, you can click the link above to see my review video of that bike. Here's a sneak peek of the video itself. Another cool classic Kawasaki was this ZRX1200. These are among my favorite of the retro bikes ever produced. The ZRX was meant to emulate the early 80s race bikes produced by Kawasaki. And one of the highlights of the show was this original 80s race bike from Kawasaki. Even though this bike is badged as a 1000R, it's actually a 1982 Kawasaki S1 race bike. My friend bought this bike over 10 years ago, and it has been a major undertaking to get this on the road. What he purchased originally was the frame and engine that was left over from the Kawasaki racing team. When purchased, this bike did not have wheels, it did not have front forks, and it did not have carburetors on it. During the rescue process, my friend installed a Wiseco 1260 big bore kit on it. He also installed a set of 38mm flat slide carburetors. It has ZRX forks and gauges, and there were lots of other problems to be solved taking a race bike and converting it to a street bike. There are neat touches on this bike everywhere you look, and it was so cool to get to see this one. In the middle of this trio, you can see a beautiful Kawasaki Z1R. This was Kawasaki's superbike of the late 70s. I've always liked the styling on these, and the owner of this bike has actually owned it since he was 19 years old. So that's really, really cool. Another really cool bike at the show was this 955i Daytona from Triumph. These are some of the bikes that have put the modern Triumph motorcycle company on the map. They feature a fantastic fuel-injected inline 3-cylinder engine and a slick-shifting 6-speed transmission. They also handle brilliantly. It also features a really cool single-sided swing arm, and I thought this one looked so nice in the all-silver paint scheme. Another cool bike at the show was this R100RT with sidecar. I like the color scheme on this bike, and it was such a treat to get to see it at the show. All right, guys, that wraps up this week's episode. If you've never made it out to the Ephrata Breakfast Ride, it is well worth the trip. There's so many great bikes, so many great people. There's a breakfast buffet, there's outside vendors, and there are plenty of beautiful roads in the area. As always, I hope you found this video entertaining and informative, and until next time, enjoy the ride.